Hello and welcome to another episode of Nothing Definitive. I am Sam Carlson, and today I want to talk about understanding depth. Okay, so understanding depth is an extremely important topic to grasp at some point. And it applies to like literally everything in the world. Like everything, no matter whatever you think of, has depth. Now, I think there's the obvious way that people perceive depth, and then there's the not so obvious way. Oops, cell phone's going now. Okay, so depth is broken up into those two groups, I would say. Most people, from what I've observed, perceive depth as being, or are only aware of depth when it applies to them. They like say I have a friend and they are into I don't know, beer. Okay, I have a beer in front of me. So let's say that they're into brewing their own beer. That person is very aware of beer brands, what is in beer. They know of other people that make beer, not just the big guys, but like small brewing companies or individuals that brew their own beer. They know about all kinds of, like maybe the science behind making beer, and maybe they've even learned some other interesting things that kind of relate to it but are not beer related. Maybe they know a lot about bottle caps that normal people don't know about, or the sticky labels that are on the bottles or whatever. They know a lot of depth about making beer. However, what I've seen, or like from a lot of people, and I've seen this a lot, so I know it's a problem. People only perceive depth when it applies to them. So when they look at other things in life, they are oftentimes confused about, or they'll ask a question like, why did that person just do that, or why did this happen to me, or that happened, or whatever. Like, why does the president do this or something? It's because they are not grasping that depth applies to everything, not just brewing beer, not just my job and family and relationships or something. It applies to literally everything, no matter what it is. There is depth behind every little thing that goes on in our lives. Every product, every service, every relationship, every interaction, there is depth to it. Someone, say you met up with your friend and they were acting kind of annoyed and they made you annoyed, and you left, and you're like, God, what an asshole, or I wonder what's up with him or something. Oh, he's been so aggravated lately. Well, he must just be, maybe it's the weather, or maybe it's this thing that I know about him or something. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's none of, maybe it's neither of those. Maybe it's something really complicated. Maybe it's a whole bunch of different factors. We have this barrier or something, this problem with perceiving that like there could be all sorts of factors that go into things that we haven't yet thought of. And I guess that's hard. I mean, it's like we're trying to think of things that we are not possible to think about. And that is problematic, obviously. I mean, if we're not aware of it, how do you think about it? So you need to get into the habit of constantly approaching things that you're confused about or whatever, and say, there's probably something here. I mean, people don't just do something for no reason. They do it because there is a reason. There's something driving them. So it is our job as a confused individual to figure out, I need to think about this for a bit because there's probably something there. There's something I should consider that I haven't considered before. Use that as a red flag. Anytime that you ask a question about something like, I wonder why that happened, or why did they do that? That is a red flag. Start noticing red flags in your life, because when there is one, you need to analyze it. Figure out, like, why is this a red flag? Why am I asking this question? Okay. This seems like a legitimate question. Now I need to consider all the different possibilities. And one of the things that you should just drill into your life is that the first thing you should apply is that there is depth to everything. So one example of depth that really hit me at one point was dating. there is like there's like almost like a science behind dating, and like I know a lot of people who are really like bad with women, basically, or just they don't quite grasp it. um, and if that person would simply just accept that they are maybe deficient in that area and want to get motivated to educate themselves a bit about it, they might discover that there is an entire world of information in regards to that, like how to interact with women specifically, not just people, not just, we were taught a lot about like interacting with people successfully at work. Well, it applies also to relationships, dealing well, with women or women to men, or men to men or women to women, I should say. So don't just write things off as I see the obvious surface level of something, and that's it. That's where it ends. No, 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 no. The surface is like nothing. The surface is like a facade. It's like this thing that you created to try and understand it. But because of your limited information, you're only understanding what you can like visually see or interpret from it. You need to realize that there's a ton of data that you just haven't even considered yet. So really, understanding depth is like this almost seemingly basic thing, but it's just so important, especially if you're interested in enlightenment and in becoming an intellectual and stuff. You can't become an intellectual if you're unwilling to learn lots of different things, like perceiving things at different angles. You need to see depth if you want to understand what's going on around you. So yes, that is basically what I wanted to talk about today. Really consider it, think about it. I don't think I've actually mentioned this in any video yet, and I should. Consider it for like a minimum of 7 days. Everything new that you learn about, I like have my personal rule for it, I'll just tell you, is if I learn something new, especially if it's like conceptual and it's something interesting to think about, I make no judgments, no opinions. I do not apply it to my life for at least like 2 or 3 days, and I don't, and I ensure that I think about it for at least 7. So I give it a couple days to sink in, and then I think, okay, how does this apply to my life, and maybe I should start thinking in this way, and then I continue to really analyze it for about 7 days, and if after 7 days it really still makes sense and I've done some additional research and stuff, then you can start to really take it in, and like for understanding depth, spend 7 days really thinking about it, thinking about how it applies to the things in your life, and not just this concept but all concepts. Anything you learn, think about it for at least 7 days, and you'll start to really grasp all sorts of interesting things. So that's what I want to talk about. Thank you very much for listening, and stay tuned for more. See you around.